In the middle of a violent storm, this woman pulled her car over, yanked open the door, and started forcing her 3 kids and their dog out onto the highway while they screamed, cried, and tried to climb back inside. Rain slammed into their faces, cars rushed past, and she didn't look back as she dragged them into the cold, turning a normal drive into a moment that would change their lives forever. The sound of a car door slamming usually signals an arrival. It means someone has come home. It means a journey is over. But on this particular stretch of Route 9, under the bruising purple of a storm-choked sky, that sound meant something else entirely. It meant the end of a world. If you were driving past, you might have missed it. The rain was coming down in sheets, turning the asphalt into a black mirror that distorted the headlights of the passing trucks. But Elias didn't miss it. Elias never missed anything. He was invisible to the world, a shadow wrapped in layers of discarded wool and plastic, living beneath the concrete arch of the overpass. He was the ghost of the highway. And from his vantage point in the darkness, he saw the silver sedan pull over. He saw the hazard lights blink, once, twice, like a nervous heartbeat. He watched the woman get out. She didn't look back. She opened the rear door and pulled 3 children out into the deluge. 1, 2, 3. Then, with a rough shove, a golden retriever, Elias held his breath, waiting for the trunk to open, waiting for the suitcases, waiting for the spare tire, waiting for the logic. But there was no logic. The woman got back into the driver's seat. The engine revved, a harsh mechanical scream against the thunder, and then the tires squealed. The oldest child, a girl, ran forward. She slapped her palms against the rear window, her mouth forming the word, "Mom." The car didn't slow down. It tore away, dissolving into the mist, leaving nothing behind but the smell of exhaust and 3 small silhouettes standing on the edge of oblivion. And that is where our story begins. Not with the leaving, but with the man who was watching. Elias shifted his weight on the damp cardboard. His knees popped, a sound of old age and hard winters. His instinct, honed by 10 years on the streets, shouted at him, "Stay hidden, stay safe, don't get involved." Involvement meant police. Police meant questions. Questions meant being moved along, losing the dry spot he had fought to claim. But then he heard it. It wasn't the thunder. It was a sound that cut through the noise of the storm like a razor. It was the wail of the youngest child. It was a primal sound, the sound of a heart breaking in real time. Elias looked at his own hands. They were calloused, stained with the grime of the city, shaking slightly from hunger. "What can I do?" he thought. "I am nothing." But looking at those kids, he realized he was the only nothing they had. He pulled his hood up, grabbed his most prized possession, a heavy, moth-eaten military blanket, and stepped out from the shadows. As he approached, the dog was the first to notice. The retriever, soaked to the bone, its golden fur plastered to its ribs, lowered its head and let out a low, rumbling growl. It placed itself between the stranger and the children. "Easy, boy," Elias croaked. His voice was rusty from disuse. "I ain't gonna hurt him." The oldest girl, she couldn't have been more than 10, whipped around. Her eyes were wide, white rims of terror in the darkness. She held the other 2, a boy of about 7 and a toddler, tightly against her chest. "Stay back!" she screamed, her voice cracking. "My mom is coming back! She just had to go get gas! She's coming right back!" The lie hung in the air, heavy and wet. Elias knew that look. He had seen it in the mirror 1,000 times. It was the look of denial. "I know," Elias said softly, stopping 10 feet away. He didn't move closer. He made himself small, hunched over, non-threatening. "I'm sure she is, little one. But the rain is cold, and the trucks, they don't see so good in this weather." The middle boy, shivering so hard his teeth clicked audibly, looked at Elias. "I'm cold, Lily." "We have to wait here," Lily insisted, though her grip on him tightened. "If we move, she won't find us." Elias looked at the road. Cars were speeding by at 60 miles an hour. Blind metal missiles. It was a death trap. "There's a dry spot," Elias said, pointing a gnarled finger toward the underpass. "Just 20 feet that way. No wind, no rain. You can watch the road from there. You can see her lights when she comes. Lily hesitated. She looked at the vanishing point where the silver sedan had disappeared. She looked at her shivering brother. She looked at the toddler, whose face was buried in her coat, sobbing quietly. Then she looked at the dog. The dog stopped growling. It sniffed the air, sniffed toward Elias, and whined. Animals know. They know the difference between a predator and a protector. The dog trotted a few steps toward Elias and sat down, looking back at the children. Barnaby likes him, the boy whispered. That was the permission Lily needed. Okay, she whispered, just until the rain stops. Elias ushered them into his sanctuary. It wasn't much. A collection of pallets, some plastic tarps, and a shopping cart filled with aluminum cans. But it was dry. He didn't hesitate. He took the military blanket, the one that had kept him from freezing to death during the blizzard of 22, and draped it over the 3 children. Sit on the cardboard, he instructed gently. Concrete sucks the heat right out of you. They sat, huddled together like a litter of kittens. Barnaby, the dog, curled around them, acting as a living heater. Elias sat a few feet away, respecting their space. He reached into his deep coat pocket and pulled out his dinner. It was half a sandwich wrapped in wax paper, something he'd fished out of a dumpster behind a deli 3 hours ago. It was stale, but it was food. He saw the boy's eyes lock onto it. Elias didn't eat. He unwrapped the paper slowly. He broke the half sandwich into 3 pieces. I ate earlier, Elias lied. I'm stuffed. You guys help me out with this? The boy reached out first, snatching a piece. Then he fed a piece to the toddler. Lily stared at Elias for a long moment, her eyes searching his face for the trick, for the catch. Finding none, she took the last piece. Thank you, she whispered. I'm Elias, he said. I'm Lily. This is Sam, and the baby is Mia. And the beast? Elias pointed to the dog. Barnaby. For the next hour, the storm raged. Thunder shook the bridge foundations. Every time a car passed, the children jerked their heads up, hope flashing in their eyes, only to die out as the taillights faded away. To distract them, Elias spoke. He didn't speak of the streets. He spoke of the past. I used to have a dog like Barnaby, Elias said, staring at the graffiti on the wall. Name was Buster. He could catch a frisbee in midair, 6 feet off the ground. Did he run away? Sam asked, his mouth full of bread. Elias smiled sadly. No, I lost my house, you see. And when you lose your house, sometimes you lose the things you love, too. He didn't tell them about his own daughter. He didn't tell them that Lily looked exactly like her. He didn't tell them that alcohol and grief had stolen his life 20 years ago, leaving him with nothing but shame. Tonight, he wasn't Elias the drunk or Elias the bum. Tonight, he was a father again. Around 3 a.m., the temperature dropped. The dampness was seeping through the blanket. Mia, the toddler, began to wheeze. It was a tight, whistling sound that made the hair on Elias's arms stand up. She has asthma, Lily said, panic rising in her voice. Her inhaler, it was in the car. Mom has it in her purse. Elias moved closer. He touched the little girl's forehead. She was burning up, yet her skin was clammy. The wheezing was getting faster. She needs a doctor, Elias said. Mom will be back soon, Lily said, but her voice was thin, brittle as glass. Lily, Elias said, his voice firm. Look at me. She looked up, tears finally spilling over. She isn't coming back tonight, sweetheart. Hearing it out loud broke the dam. Lily buried her face in Barnaby's fur and wailed. It was the sound of childhood ending. Elias stood up. His joints screamed in protest. We can't stay here. The baby can't breathe. Where do we go? Sam asked. Town is 2 miles up the road. There's a fire station. They have oxygen. They can help. I can't walk that far, Sam whimpered. You won't have to. What happened next was a feat of human endurance that no one would have expected from a man who subsisted on scraps. Elias, a man who often struggled to walk a mile without resting, found a reserve of strength buried deep in his soul. He placed the toddler, Mia, inside his shopping cart, padding it with the rest of his clothes. He put Sam in there too, right beside her. Lily, you hold on to the side. Barnaby, heel. He began to push. The shopping cart had a wobbly wheel. Clack, 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 clack. It fought him every step of the way. The rain had turned to a freezing drizzle. The wind whipped against them, pushing them back. Elias pushed. He pushed through the pain in his back. He pushed through the hunger in his belly. He pushed because the sound of Mia's breathing was getting quieter, and silence was the enemy. Cars passed them. Elias waved his arms, screaming for help. "Please, stop! I have kids here!" But what did the drivers see? They saw a crazy homeless man screaming in the rain, pushing a cart of junk. They saw a threat. They swerved away. They sped up. "They don't see us," Lily cried. "We're invisible." "Not to me," Elias grunted, sweat mixing with the rain on his face. "You ain't invisible to me." 1 mile. Elias's boots were soaked through. His feet were numb. 1.5 miles. The cart hit a pothole and tipped. Elias threw his body underneath it to catch the weight, scraping his arms raw against the asphalt, just to keep Sam and Mia from tumbling out. He groaned, a guttural sound of agony, but he righted the cart. "Are you okay, Elias?" Sam asked. "Never better, kid. Never better." They reached the edge of town just as the first gray light of dawn began to bleed into the sky. The lights of the fire station were visible, a beacon of red and white. But as they crossed the final intersection, a police cruiser turned the corner. The lights flashed, blue and fierce. The siren chirped. Elias froze. The old fear gripped him, the instinct to run. "They'll think I stole them. They'll think I hurt them." The officer stepped out. He was big, hand resting near his holster. "All right, step away from the cart," the officer barked. "Hands where I can see them." Lily stepped in front of Elias. She spread her small arms wide. "Don't shoot him. He saved us." The officer paused. He looked at the ragged man, the shivering dog, and the 3 terrified children piled in a shopping cart. He looked at Elias, whose hands were raised, trembling not from fear, but from exhaustion. "We need help," Elias whispered, his voice failing. "The baby, asthma, she can't breathe." The officer's demeanor changed instantly. He ran to the cart, looked at Mia's blue lips, and keyed his radio. "Dispatch, I need an ambulance at the intersection of Main and 4th. Pediatric distress. Now!" As the paramedics arrived, swarming the scene with thermal blankets and oxygen masks, Elias stepped back. He faded toward the brick wall of the alley. His job was done. He was just the delivery man. The paramedics loaded Mia and Sam into the ambulance. Lily was about to climb in, but she stopped. She turned around, scanning the crowd of uniforms. "Elias?" she called out. The officer looked around. Where'd he go? But the shadows had already reclaimed him. The story didn't end there. It couldn't. The local news picked it up. The miracle on Route 9, they called it. The mother had been found 2 states away, arrested for child endangerment and abandonment. She had cracked under questioning, admitting she couldn't handle the burden anymore. The cruelty of it shocked the nation. But the world wanted to know about the mystery man, the guardian angel who had kept 3 children alive through a freezing storm and walked 2 miles on a bad leg to save them. Lily, safe now in the care of her aunt, refused to let it go. She told the police sketch artist about his face, about the scar on his chin, about the kind eyes, about the sandwich he shared. "He gave us his blanket," Lily told the reporters. "He was cold so we could be warm." The community mobilized. They searched the underpasses. They searched the shelters, and finally, the officer who had stopped them that night found him. Elias was back under his bridge, shivering, wrapped in a thin sheet of plastic. He had pneumonia. He was dying. They didn't arrest him. They didn't chase him away. The officer knelt down. "Elias, the kids, they're asking for you." They took Elias to the hospital. For the first time in 10 years, he slept in a clean bed. For the first time in 10 years, he was warm. But the real warmth came 2 days later. The door to his hospital room opened. It wasn't a doctor. It was Barnaby. The dog trotted in, tail wagging so hard his whole body shook. He put his paws up on the bed and licked Elias's face. Behind the dog came Lily, Sam, and a healthy, pink-cheeked Mia holding her aunt's hand. Lily ran to the bed and hugged the old man. She buried her face in his scrub top. "I thought you left us." Elias patted her hair, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. "I didn't leave. I stepped back. I didn't want you to be seen with a bum." "You're not a bum," Sam said, climbing onto the chair. "You're our grandpa now. That's what Aunt Sarah said. We don't have a grandpa, so we picked you." Elias looked at the aunt, a stern but kind-looking woman. She nodded, her eyes wet. "You saved their lives, Elias. Your family. And family doesn't sleep under bridges." It took time. Elias had to relearn how to live indoors. He had to learn that the refrigerator would always have food in it. He had to learn that the knock at the door wasn't a threat. But he did it. The woman who abandoned her children on that rain-soaked road thought she was leaving them to die. She thought she was throwing away trash. But she was wrong. She didn't know that on the darkest roads, in the fiercest storms, there are watchers, people the world has forgotten, who still remember what it means to be human. She left them on the road to end their story. But thanks to a man with nothing in his pockets but a half-eaten sandwich and a heart full of love, she only started a new one. A story where love isn't defined by blood, but by the willingness to walk through the rain for someone else.